Tan Son Nhut Air Base, Vietnam. December 4, 1966. 2:30 in the morning. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Airman 2nd Class Robert Thorneburg was walking his patrol route with his German Shepherd, Nemo. Just another night in the jungle. Just another shift. Then Nemo stopped dead in his tracks. His ears shot forward. His body went rigid. A low growl rumbled from his chest. Thorneburg had seen this before. It meant one thing. Enemy. Before he could radio for backup, the jungle exploded. Muzzle flashes everywhere. Bullets ripping through the air. Viet Cong guerrillas were pouring out of the darkness, at least 60 of them. Thorneburg went down. 2 bullets in his shoulder. He hit the ground hard, his rifle flying from his hands. He was bleeding out. And that's when Nemo did something that would become military legend. The dog had been hit too. A bullet had torn through his right eye. Another had ripped off part of his muzzle. Blood was pouring down his face. But Nemo didn't run. He didn't retreat. He stood over his handler's body and attacked. For the next 4 hours, that wounded dog held off the Viet Cong biting. Snarling. Refusing to let anyone near the man he was sworn to protect. When reinforcements finally arrived at dawn, they found something that made hardened combat veterans break down. A one-eyed dog, still standing guard. Still protecting his soldier. This is the true story of Nemo A534. Nemo wasn't born a hero. He started life as just another German Shepherd pup, bred for the military working dog program at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. Strong bloodlines. Good instincts. Nothing special. They gave him a number instead of a name, A534. That's all he was to the Air Force, a number. A piece of equipment. A tool to be trained, deployed, and eventually discarded. From the moment he entered the program, Nemo learned one thing above all else. Trust no one. The trainers were rough. The methods were harsh. Dogs who couldn't cut it were washed out, or worse. Nemo made the cut. He learned to detect explosives. To track enemy movement. To attack on command and release on command. To suppress every instinct except the ones the military wanted. He became a weapon. Cold. Efficient. Reliable. But weapons don't feel. Weapons don't love. And nobody told Nemo that he wasn't supposed to love the soldier he was assigned to. Nobody told him that would change everything. Vietnam was hell on earth. When Nemo arrived at Tan Son Nhut Air Base in 1966, the war was at its worst. Viet Cong attacks were constant. American casualties were climbing. The jungle swallowed men whole. Sentry dogs were the last line of defense. They patrolled the perimeters at night, detecting enemies that human senses couldn't find. They saved lives every single day, and most of them died doing it. The average lifespan of a war dog in Vietnam was less than 2 years. Nemo's handler was a young airman named Robert Thorneburg. 20 years old. Scared but hiding it. Far from home. The first time Thorneburg saw Nemo, he reached out his hand. Nemo growled. "Don't take it personal," an older handler said. "He doesn't trust anybody." Thorneburg just smiled. "He will." He had no idea what that trust would cost them both. If Nemo's story already has you hooked, smash that subscribe button right now. Every single week, we dig up true stories of war dogs who became legends. You don't want to miss what happens next. December 4, 1966. 0230 hours. The attack came without warning. Nemo's alert gave Thorneburg maybe 3 seconds. Just enough time to raise his weapon before the first shots rang out. Not enough time to survive what came next. The Viet Cong had been planning this assault for weeks. 60 guerrillas had crawled through the jungle, silent as ghosts, waiting for the perfect moment. Thorneburg never had a chance. 2 bullets slammed into his shoulder. He went down hard, his radio flying into the darkness. No way to call for help. No way to fight back. He was going to die on this patch of dirt, thousands of miles from home. But Nemo had other plans. The moment Thorneburg fell, Nemo launched himself at the attackers. 85 pounds of pure fury, teeth flashing in the muzzle fire. The Viet Cong opened fire on the dog. The first bullet punched through Nemo's right eye. The second tore off a chunk of his muzzle. Any other dog would have run. Should have run. Every survival instinct screamed retreat. Nemo kept attacking. Blood pouring down his face. Half blind. In agony. He drove the attackers back just long enough for Thorneburg to crawl toward cover. And then Nemo did something that would define his legend. He stopped attacking. He walked back to his wounded handler. And he laid his body across Thorneburg's chest. If they wanted the soldier, they'd have to go through the dog first. Nobody trained Nemo for this. The military dog program taught him to detect, to attack, to release. Follow commands. Complete the mission. Return to base. There was no training for what Nemo did that night. No protocol for a dog choosing to die with his handler rather than save himself. That decision came from somewhere else. Somewhere deeper than training. Somewhere the military couldn't touch. As Nemo lay across Thorneburg's body, blood streaming from his destroyed, something became clear to every soldier who would later hear this story. This wasn't a military working dog anymore. This was loyalty in its purest form. Thorneburg was fading in and out of consciousness. He could feel Nemo's weight on his chest. Could feel the warm blood dripping onto his uniform. His blood or the dog's, he couldn't tell anymore. "Good boy," he whispered. "Good boy." Nemo's tail thumped once in the darkness. Even now. Even dying. Still responding to praise. The Viet Cong kept firing. Kept trying to advance. But every time someone got close, Nemo would surge up, snarling, snapping, driving them back. 1 dog against 60 guerrillas. And the dog was winning. Not because he was stronger. Not because he was faster. But because he simply refused to stop. The attackers started calling out to each other in Vietnamese. Warning each other about the dog. The crazy dog who wouldn't go down. They could have rushed him. Overwhelmed him with numbers. But something in Nemo's eye, his remaining eye, made them hesitate. Something that said, "You might kill me, but I'm taking some of you with me." And that bought Thorneburg time. Time that would save his life. For 4 hours, Nemo held his ground. 4 hours of darkness. 4 hours of pain. 4 hours of choosing, again and again, to stay when running was the only sane option. The Viet Cong tried everything. They tried rushing his position. Nemo would lunge at them, teeth finding flesh, sending them scrambling back. His jaws were locked in a permanent snarl, blood and saliva mixing on his ruined muzzle. They tried flanking. Nemo's remaining eye tracked every movement. His ears, undamaged, picked up footsteps in the brush. He would spin to face each new threat, never leaving Thorneburg's side. They tried waiting him out. Surely the dog would weaken. Surely the blood loss would take him down. But Nemo kept standing. Thorneburg drifted in and out of consciousness. Every time he opened his eyes, Nemo was there. Shielding him. Protecting him. Refusing to abandon him. At some point during those endless hours, Thorneburg managed to draw his sidearm. His shoulder screamed in agony as he raised it, but he forced himself to fire into the darkness. He didn't hit anything. But the shots told the Viet Cong that the American was still alive. Still armed. still protected by that demon dog. The psychological impact was devastating. These were experienced guerrillas. They had killed Americans before. But this was different. This dog was different. There was something almost supernatural about its refusal to die. Its refusal to leave. Its absolute, unwavering commitment to the wounded man beneath it. Some of the guerrillas started pulling back. The assault was supposed to be quick. Get in, kill the sentries, penetrate the base perimeter. But they had been stalled for hours by a single dog. The first hints of dawn were appearing on the horizon. Nemo was swaying now. Blood loss was finally taking its toll. His remaining eye was growing dim. But he stayed standing. He had made a choice somewhere in those first few seconds, when he saw his handler fall, when his own blood started pouring down his face. He chose. Not survival. Not self-preservation. Not the smart play. He chose the man. And nothing, not bullets, not pain, not death itself, was going to change that choice. Thorneburg reached up with his good hand and touched Nemo's blood-soaked fur. "I know, buddy," he whispered. "I know." Nemo licked his hand. One small gesture. One moment of tenderness in the middle of hell. And then the dog turned back to face the enemy. Still standing. Still protecting. Still choosing his soldier over everything else. At 0630 hours, reinforcements finally arrived. The quick reaction force had been scrambled when Thorneburg failed to check in. It took them hours to fight through the chaos. The Viet Cong assault on Nemo's position was just one part of a larger attack on the entire base. When they finally reached the patrol sector, they expected to find bodies. What they found was a miracle. Airman Robert Thorneburg was alive, slumped against a tree stump, his uniform soaked with blood. His shoulder was destroyed, but he was breathing. And standing over him, swaying but upright, was Nemo. The dog was unrecognizable. His right eye was gone, a bloody socket where it used to be. His muzzle was torn open, bone visible through the wound. Blood matted every inch of his fur. But when the soldiers approached, Nemo growled. He didn't recognize them. Friend or enemy, it didn't matter. No one was getting near his handler. "Jesus Christ," one of the soldiers muttered. "That dog should be dead." It took several minutes to convince Nemo that the new arrivals weren't threats. Even then, he refused to move away from Thorneburg until the handler himself, barely conscious, ordered him to stand down. Only then did Nemo finally collapse. The medics worked on both of them simultaneously. Thorneburg was evacuated to the base hospital, then to a larger facility for surgery. His shoulder would never fully recover, but he would live. Nemo was rushed to the veterinary clinic. Nobody expected him to survive the night. The wounds were catastrophic. He had lost massive amounts of blood. The eye was completely destroyed. The muzzle damage alone should have been fatal. But Captain Raymond Hudson, the base veterinarian, refused to give up. "This dog saved a soldier's life," he said. "The least we can do is try to save his." The surgery took hours. They removed Nemo's destroyed eye, cleaned the horrific wounds, pumped him full of antibiotics and fluids. And somehow, against all odds, Nemo survived. When the Air Force brass heard what had happened, they were stunned. The attack that night had involved approximately 60 Viet Cong guerrillas. The assault on the base perimeter was one of the largest of the entire war. Dozens of Americans were wounded. Several were killed. But one wounded dog had held off a significant portion of the attacking force for over 4 hours. Single-handedly. Well, single-podedly. Military leadership faced a decision. Standard protocol said that a dog injured this severely should be euthanized. Nemo had lost an eye. His muzzle was permanently damaged. He would never be the same. By the book, he should be put down. But nothing about Nemo was by the book. General William Westmoreland himself received reports about the dog's heroism. The story spread through the military like wildfire. Nemo became a symbol, proof that loyalty and courage could overcome impossible odds. How do you euthanize a symbol? The decision came down from the highest levels of Air Force Command. Nemo would be retired with full honors. He would be flown back to the United States. He would live out his days at Lackland Air Force Base, where he had started his training, as a living legend. It was the first time in military history that a war dog had been officially retired and returned home. Every other dog before him had been left behind. Every other dog had been considered surplus military equipment. Nemo changed that. And his handler, Robert Thorneburg, made sure the world knew it. Nemo's story is far from over, and what happens next will stay with you forever. If you want to see how this hero dog lived out his final years, make sure you're subscribed. Hit that bell so you never miss a video. When Nemo returned to Lackland Air Force Base, he was a celebrity. Newspapers ran his picture. Television covered his homecoming. The one-eyed German Shepherd became the most famous dog in America. But Nemo didn't care about fame. He was looking for someone. Every time a new person approached, Nemo would sniff the air, then turn away. Every time a handler tried to work with him, he would cooperate but never engage. He was waiting for Thorneburg. And Thorneburg was waiting for him. The Air Force eventually arranged a reunion. When Nemo saw his handler walking toward him, shoulder still bandaged, arm in a sling, the transformation was instant. The famous war hero disappeared. In his place was just a dog, crying with joy, spinning in circles, trying to lick every inch of the man he had nearly died to protect. Thorneburg dropped to his knees and wrapped his good arm around Nemo. "I know, buddy," he whispered. "I missed you too." They stayed like that for a long time. The press photos from that day show something remarkable. Nemo's one remaining eye was closed, his head pressed against Thorneburg's chest. Complete peace on the face of a dog who had known nothing but war. But there was a bitter truth behind the reunion. Thorneburg couldn't adopt Nemo. Military regulations forbade it. Nemo was still government property, even in retirement. He would live at Lackland, cared for by the Air Force, but never belonging to the man he had saved. Thorneburg visited whenever he could. But it wasn't the same. They had been through hell together. They had saved each other's lives. And bureaucracy was keeping them apart. Nemo seemed to understand. When Thorneburg would leave after visits, Nemo would watch him go. One eye tracking the man until he disappeared. No whimpering. No struggling. Just watching. Waiting for next time. The Air Force tried to use Nemo for recruiting and public relations. He became a symbol of the military working dog program, meeting thousands of people, appearing at events and ceremonies. But handlers at Lackland noticed something. Nemo only ever truly came alive when Thorneburg visited. The rest of the time, he was just waiting. Going through the motions. A hero in exile, dreaming of the man he loved. Nemo lived for 5 more years after Vietnam. He spent those years at Lackland Air Force Base, a living legend in a concrete kennel. Not exactly the retirement he deserved, but better than being put down. Every day, handlers would take him out for exercise. Kids would come to meet him on tours. Reporters would ask for photos. Nemo tolerated all of it. But his best days were when Thorneburg came. Those visits became less frequent as the years went on. Thorneburg had his own life to rebuild. A damaged shoulder. PTSD nobody talked about back then. The struggle of every Vietnam vet to find normalcy in a country that didn't understand what they'd been through. But he always came back. And Nemo always knew. Handlers swear the dog could sense when Thorneburg was coming. Hours before he arrived, Nemo would become restless. Pacing. Watching the gate. Waiting. The moment Thorneburg appeared, Nemo was young again. spinning, barking, pressing against the fence until they let him out. 11 months of waiting for a few precious hours together. That was their life now. On March 15, 1973, Nemo passed away peacefully at Lackland Air Force Base. He was 11 years old, ancient for a German shepherd, miraculous for a war dog. Thorneburg was there at the end. He held Nemo's head in his lap as the old warrior closed his one remaining eye for the last time. "Good boy," Thorneburg whispered. "You were always such a good boy." Nemo's tail thumped once. And then he was gone. They buried him with full military honors at the Department of Defense Dog Center. His grave marker reads simply, Nemo A534. 1962 to 1973. Vietnam War hero. But those words don't capture what he really was. A dog who chose love over survival. A dog who refused to leave his soldier behind. A dog who proved that heroes don't always walk on two legs. Robert Thorneburg spent the rest of his life telling Nemo's story. Every veteran's event. Every school visit. Every time someone asked about the scars on his shoulder. "A dog saved my life," he would say. The best dog who ever lived. He never stopped missing him. Nemo's legacy didn't die with him. His story changed how the military thought about war dogs forever. Before Nemo, dogs were equipment. Serial numbers. Disposable tools to be used and discarded. When the Vietnam War ended, nearly 4,000 military dogs were left behind, classified as surplus equipment, abandoned to uncertain fates. But Nemo had shown the world something different. He had shown that dogs could love. Could sacrifice. Could choose loyalty over survival. And that changed the conversation. Veterans started speaking out. Handlers who had been forced to leave their dogs behind began telling their stories. The outcry grew until finally, in 2000, Congress passed a law allowing military working dogs to be adopted by their handlers after retirement. It was called Robbie's Law. But it could have been called Nemo's Law. Because he was the first. The one who proved that these dogs deserved better than abandonment. Today, there's a memorial at Lackland Air Force Base honoring military working dogs. Nemo's name is there, alongside thousands of others who served. But more importantly, his spirit lives on in every dog who comes home. Every war dog adopted by their handler. Every sentry dog who gets a retirement instead of a needle. Every military working dog who is finally recognized as a hero, not just a tool. They all owe something to a one-eyed German shepherd who refused to leave his soldier behind. Nemo started the change. And the change is still happening. What makes a hero? We usually think of medals. Speeches. Grand gestures on the world stage. But Nemo never got a parade. Never understood what hero meant. Never knew that his story would change military policy for generations. He just knew one thing. His soldier was hurt. And leaving was not an option. That's it. That's the whole secret. Not training. Not breeding. Not military programming. Just a dog who loved his person more than he loved his own life. We send dogs to war because they can smell what we can't. Detect what we miss. Go where we're too big to fit. But we forget that when we bond them to soldiers, we're creating something powerful. Something that transcends duty. Love. Nemo loved Robert Thorneburg. And when the bullets flew and the blood poured and every instinct screamed run, love held him in place. 4 hours. 1 eye. 60 enemies. And a dog who said, "No. No, you can't have him. No, I won't leave. No, you don't get to win this one." Sometimes courage isn't about being fearless. It's about being terrified and staying anyway. Nemo was terrified that night. But he stayed. And that made all the difference. For one soldier. And for every war dog who came after. If Nemo's story moved you, hit that subscribe button. Every single week, we bring you true stories of war dogs who became legends. Click the bell so you never miss one. And share Nemo's story with someone who needs to hear it today. Thanks for staying till the very end, just like Nemo did. If his story hit you in the feels, click right here to watch the story of Sergeant Stubby, the most decorated dog of World War I. Or click over here for more incredible war dog stories. See you in the next one.